Oxygen saturation, carboxyhemoglobin, and MET hemoglobin monitoring are known as SpO2, spco, and spmet. Together, all three are known as rainbow set technology. Your LIFEPAK 15 monitor defibrillator may or may not have the capability to monitor all three. There are two ways to check if your device has CO or MET. The first is to watch the screen closely when you power on the 15. All the vital sign capabilities display briefly. Watch the SpO2 display area here closely during startup. There. This 15 can do all three. If it were only capable of SpO2, you would have seen only SpO2 during that flash. The other way to check is to highlight the SpO2 area and click it. You'll see what you have available here. If you want to monitor SpO2, CO, and MET, you have to use a rainbow sensor. If your sensor is only capable of monitoring SpO2, you won't be able to monitor CO and MET. But in this case, both our monitor and our sensor are capable of all three. So, the monitor's on, connect the rainbow sensor here firmly. Now the rainbow sensor looks like a standard SpO2 sensor, but to accurately measure SpCO and spmet, proper sensor placement is much more important. The preferred site is the ring finger of the non-dominant hand. Put it on the patient like this, with the cable on the back of the hand. Slide it on until the finger tip touches the raised stop inside the sensor. Good. Shield the sensor from ambient light and have the patient hold still while it self-calibrates. Calibration can take 15 to 30 seconds. Confirm that the reading appears and is stable. If you use SpO2 alone, without ECG monitoring, the SpO2 pulse rate is shown here. The height of this bar indicates the quality of the signal. If you want, you can display the SpO2 plethysmograph, or pleth waveform, on the screen. Use the speed dial to outline channel 2 or 3, click it, and scroll through the channel menu to select SpO2. The waveform is automatically sized for optimum viewing. Now let's look at SpCO and MET. When the patient is connected to a rainbow sensor and we have a good SpO2 reading, SpCO and spmet are also monitored continuously in the background. When the patient's CO or MET is abnormally elevated, for example, the patient's CO goes over 10% or MET goes over 3%, an advisory occurs. There's an alarm tone, an advisory message, and the elevated value starts flashing here instead of the SpO2. To acknowledge the advisory, press Alarms. The SpO2 replaces the CO value, but the advisory message stays on the screen until the value drops below 10%. The spmet advisory works the same way. So, if you are monitoring with a rainbow sensor and there is no advisory, then you know that the patient's CO is less than 10% and MET is less than 3%. But if you want to check those actual readings, there are two ways to do it. You can press Print and get a printout of the vital signs. You see the CO and MET values up here on the strip. Or you can manually display the value in the SpO2 area. Rotate the speed dial to outline the SpO2 area and press it. Select Parameter from the menu and then select SpCO or MET. The value displays for 10 seconds, then reverts to SpO2. If you have difficulty getting a stable signal or the value shown is questionable, consider these factors. Is the sensor size correct for the patient? Consider using a pediatric sensor for adults with small fingers. Is the sensor aligned properly on the patient's finger? Try taking it off and putting it back on again. Make sure the tip of the finger touches the raised stop inside the sensor. Is the sensor too tight? Is the site well perfused? Some patients have different levels of perfusion on different fingers. Try another finger. If there are notable temperature differences, use the warmer finger. Is the patient moving excessively? If so, get the patient to hold still or move the sensor to a less motion-prone location. It's especially important to keep a rainbow sensor motionless during its self-calibration process. Is there interference from bright lights like sunlight or emergency lights? You should cover the sensor to block the light. Again, that's particularly important while a rainbow sensor is self-calibrating. If the readings still seem questionable, get 2 or more readings from different fingers and average them. And remember, it's important to be familiar with your sensor's instructions for use. The SpO2, CO, and MET monitor has built-in messages to help troubleshoot problems that may occur. Refer to the troubleshooting tips and the operating instructions for the messages and corrective actions. Remember, SpO2 CO and MET monitoring are tools to be used in addition to patient assessment.